Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar for applicants for the Open Hardware Makers program. Thank you for making the time for being here today. We hope that this session will help you get more details, get the information that you need to get even more excited about this program and hopefully submit an application. We also, so we're going to do a little brief presentation on what the program is about. Then we're going to have time for Q&A at the end. So please, if you're on YouTube, just write your questions in the chat. We are following that live, so we can actually do the questions by the end. And we hope you enjoyed this, okay? So my name is Andrea, and can we have the next slide, please? And together with Julieta and Alex, who you can see here on the slide, we are the organizers of Open Hardware Makers. So what is on the agenda today? Why did we create Open Hardware Makers? What is this all about? Who is it for? How does it work? How does the application work? And then questions and answers, okay? So why did we create a program like Open Hardware Makers? Which is, I didn't say, but I should have said that in the very beginning, which is a mentoring program to help and support you with your open hardware project. And we're going to see more details in a bit. But why did we create this? So both, like the three of us, we have been working with open hardware projects for a while now. And we are part of many communities that are working with open hardware. And we constantly see the questions that are posted here. So for instance, one of them, right? I tried to replicate this one project, but the information that was crucial for it was missing, so I couldn't. Or I want to contribute to this project and I don't know how. Or our project's not open yet because we don't think the documentation is polished enough. So make it open once everything is properly done, and so on. And so given all of these questions, we thought, well, it seems that the community really needs or could make use of a mentoring program that supports people in making sure that their project is open, reusable, replicable, and there are like really nice entry points for people to collaborate. So with this idea in mind, we created Open Hardware Makers, which, as I mentioned, is a mentoring program sharing best practices in open hardware. Can we get the next slide, please? And who is this for, right? So basically, this is for hardware developers. Either you are an individual or you are a team of developers working on the same project. Your projects can be brand new or projects that have been ongoing for a long time. They can come really from any domain. We really don't have preferences on whether you work with education or science or social innovation or businesses or whatever it is. We just want to make sure that every open hardware project that is out there has a very nice documentation and is really well settled for success. But it can be from any background. So the open hardware project could actually be your main occupation. It could be a hobby thing. It could be an university project, a high school project. It doesn't matter, right? The only thing we ask is that you're willing to learn and apply these open hardware practices. And also you can be based in anywhere in the world. So how does the whole thing work? Can we get the next one?
That's what I'm going to tell you now. I will take over. My name is Alex, and Andre already introduced me in the very beginning. So the program, it's all based on an open and collaborative curriculum, and we want to ensure that you learn hands-on. And in the end, we also have a public project demo, which you can then reuse also to share with your peers and also to demonstrate what your project can. To find more users or also other people contributing to your project. Well, so in our program, we have a one-to-one mentorship program, and also a very important key point is an expert assessment in the middle of the program, which is in total 16 weeks long. And also an important part is the peer review, which we have in cohort calls, where you will review the projects of your fellow mentees. So some words about the curriculum. Some of you might already know that we had a pilot program some time ago, and us, Andre, Julieta, and me, we decided that we need to have a public review of our curriculum. So we had an open call where we asked the community to give us suggestions how to improve it, and then had also an expert review of our curriculum, and we completely reworked the curriculum and introduced new parts, new things like the expert assessment, and improved that further. And yeah, well, now here it is in our first cohort. And let's take a quick look into the curriculum into more details. This you see here. So you can have a look at the curriculum. It's open. It's you can reach it on the curriculum.openhardware.space, and we have it divided into several submodules. It's actually 7 content modules, and they all have submodules each. And it takes basically 2 weeks for each module in our program. That's why we have in total then the 16 weeks with onboarding and so on. And each submodule follows the same structure. That's what you can see here. Each module then has a submodule, has a content part where you explain you a bit, like for example, the background and what it's all about. But more importantly, there are also assignments, and these assignments you have to fulfill during this program, but you don't, you work on them, but then there are also meetings with your mentor and your fellow mentees, the cohorts call, where you discuss them. But we also provide you with resources where you can dive deeper into the topic or find maybe more help for a particular problem you have with your project. So now a bit more about the mentor meetings. You will meet your mentor every 15 days, and during the meeting, you will review your progress of your project in the mentoring program. And you have a lot of time to discuss also problems and different opportunities. So that's like a key point of our mentoring program. We provide you one-to-one support by a trained mentor. That's also important. We have a certain quality standard, and this is what we ensure with our mentors. They are all trained. They have a mentor training. And you have him or her as a contact person and have access to resources through them. And we also provide a list of experts you can contact, but you can also use the personal network of your mentor. Accompanying to the mentor meetings, we also have the cohort meetings, and they happen during the weeks where you don't meet with your mentors. And during this time, you peer review the work of your assignments. And there's also some time for interaction between your fellow mentees. And we also invite speakers, which present things about the respective topic of the weeks. And then there will be also usually a Q&A session with the invited speakers. So there is a broad opportunity of exchange. Well, as I already said, this is something new we introduced in this cohort, the expert review. So in the middle of the program, like more or less around week 9, all projects will go through an expert review. So they will assess the current state of the project and give direct feedback, what to improve, ideas, and also maybe establish connections to other experts, people who could help with the program, with the project. But the access to experts is not limited to this expert review. During the whole program, you can take a look at the list of experts we have on our webpage. This list is the growing list. And you are always welcome to contact one of these and also ask you one of our experts, but you can also ask your mentor to help you with that. And that's something we highly recommend, that you get somebody to help you on maybe also, for example, the technical parts of your project. So last but not least, also the public call, and which has a global sprint before that. The goal is to present a public demo, which is then live recorded and streamed via YouTube. And in preparation to that, we organize a weekend global sprint, which is mainly for the mentees, for the project leads, and should be used to prepare this public call. It's basically a pitch. As I already said, it's live streamed and takes place in week 13. Now I hand it over to Juli, which will explain you a bit more about the commitments you have to bring.
Thank you, Alex, and hi everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar. So up to now, we gave you lots of information on why Open Hour Makers is important and why we think it's relevant, and the problems that we see right now that we could help addressing in the Open Hour community. And Alex explained all the structure that comes with the program to support you work towards having a minimum viable product that you can take anywhere you want afterwards, right? You can make a business out of it, you can keep as an educational project, you can do whatever you want with it, or someone else can fork it. So what are we asking in return, right? And first of all, I want to emphasize something that we usually don't say because I think we assume it, and is that joining Open Hour Makers is free. You don't have to pay anything for joining the mentorship program. We have currently an excellent team of volunteer mentors, and we are also applying for funding for supporting all this work that goes into running Open Hour Makers. But what we ask in return from mentees or from applicants that are selected is really some small time commitment, right? So first of all, time commitment. What for? We expect you to dedicate, if you apply to the program and you are selected, we expect you to dedicate around 5 hours a week for the whole duration of the program. As Alex mentioned, the program lasts 16 weeks. That's around 4 months. The first cohort that is starting now starts March 14 and it will end in July. And what are you going to spend those hours in? First of all, there are meetings, as Alex mentioned. These occur every week, either with your mentor or with your cohort, and this will take 1 hour a week. So why 5 hours? Well, because it's a really hands-on program, and you can see our curriculum is fully online, but it's made absolutely, I mean, the curriculum is there and it's a community curated project, and it was an amazing project to create, but harnessing those benefits depends on you applying the curriculum to your project. So we really think that dedicating between 3 and 4 hours outside of the meetings that you will have as part of the program to work on your project, applying those lessons in the curriculum to your own work, that is what will make you really advance. So next item that you see there in the slide is exactly what I'm talking about, right? Working on the assignments weekly guarantees that you will make progress in your project. And the assignments are not too wild. If you want to go to Open Hardware, I think the address is curriculum.openhardware.space. You can already see the assignments. They are very, very down to earth, and it's just taking the concepts that we explain and applying them to your own situation. So what we think is that we have seen in our pilot program that those mentees who really take it seriously to apply to follow with the assignments weekly, so they can discuss with their mentor and so they can discuss with their mentee, the other fellow mentees, are the ones who really make a lot of progress during the program. Something important, just to keep it fair for everyone, is that if you will have to attend meetings. So these meetings are scheduled in advance, and you will have ways of communicating both with us as the organizing team, with your mentor also, via email and via a forum, an online forum. But it's really, really important that if you cannot make a meeting, which can happen, you let us know as soon as you can, so we can try to make it have the less impact as possible, both in your progress in the program and also in your mentor's journey through the program, right? And finally, related to this, we have, as I mentioned, two main communication channels: the email for directly contacting the organizers, the three of us, or we are also using a forum, an online forum. It's really, really important that you are responsive to the emails we send or to the news we post in the forum, because Open Hardware Makers is a fully online mentorship program. We don't have any in-person meetings, at least not yet. So it's really, really important that if you receive an email, it will be very clear what you have to do, the action items, and that you keep track of what's going on in the program. Sorry, there. So moving on to the application process. What are we asking you to provide us information for the application process? Well, first of all, the application process is open. You still have some time. There is time until the 7th of March to submit your project. You can find the way to, the best way to find how to submit your project is to go to our website, openhardware.space, and click on this apply with project. That's the middle button. That will take you to a Google form. Sorry. And that Google form has 3 sections. The first one will ask you some information about yourself. So we want to know who you are, what do you do, what's your journey into open hardware. Of course, the more you tell us about yourself, that will help us, right, in the selection of the projects. So we welcome all the information you want to send us. The core of the application, though, is about the project. So when you go to about the project, you will see that you are asked about not only your motivations, but a very important part is if you have available documentation for your project right now. And that may sound weird, because why would you be joining a program if you already had documentation? But we are asking really for a very low level of commitment there. What we want to understand is if the goals of your project are at least somehow clearly defined, and if you have a list of materials. So if you have if this is not just a wild idea, or if you have given some thought to your project, because it demands some time commitment, the program, and we want to make sure that you will be able to commit to it. The online documentation we're asking for, it doesn't have to be a GitHub repository. If it is, that's great. It doesn't have to be a GitLab repository or any other repository. Again, if it is available, that's great. You can provide us with a link. But if you have a website, for example, with a description of your project and a list of materials that is available to anyone, even if you think it's not good, that's enough for us. So we are asking for that link in the application form. And finally, a motivation letter. This may sound like really, really overwhelming, like, oh my God, I have to write a formal thing to apply to this. I will never do it. But please do not think like that. We just do it to truly understand why you want to join the program. And in the application form, you will find a link to a template. You can follow exactly the same format. That's perfectly fine. You will see it's a very simple one. And we want to understand, why did you go into open hardware? Or maybe you're not into open hardware, but why do you want to go open with your project? Are you working alone? Are you working with a team? We are very wide in our scope, as Andre mentioned. So we accept projects that are working on education or business or social innovation. So we want to learn more about your background and your context, also because this will help us match you with a mentor that it's a good match for you. So the more information you provide, the better for that matching. Something about the review criteria, because that's the other side of the application process. So there are 3 main pillars, let's say, of the review process of the applications. First of all is readiness about the program, and this means, do you know what you are applying to? It can be a bit messy sometimes to understand which are the goals of a mentorship program, or which are, is Open Hardware Makers going to teach me how to do 3D printing? No. So we want to make sure that you are sure about what you are signing up to. And if you're not sure about that, you can absolutely ask us here, or you can drop us an email and we will tell you more about it. But just so that is clear, because I received questions in the past about that, this is not an open hardware program that will teach you technical skills. This is why we have experts, right? So what we're trying to do here is to support projects in building the good practices of openness for hardware. And we are going to support you through mentorship meetings, cohort meetings. And if you have questions that absolutely will come up about the technical aspects of a project, or about the financial aspects of a project, or the legal aspects of a project, then that's when the experts jump in. But technology changes, right? So that's when the experts can help us. And at the core, we are focusing here on openness. We want your project to be open, sustainable, inclusive, and reusable. That's the goal. So first, that criteria is important. Do you know that you're signing up for this? Do you know what you're obtaining when you're signing up to the program? Second is your project stage and goals. As Andre mentioned in the beginning, who is this for? Is your project a wild idea that you had, and you're writing it down and you're super excited about it, but you have no idea how you're going to start? Well, maybe that is not a project that can join Open Hardware Makers. We are asking for projects that may be a wild idea, but you gave some thought to, and you have some minimum knowledge on how you will continue working on it during the program. Anyway, if you're selected, you will work with your mentor on defining goals that are achievable in 16 weeks. That is really, really important, okay? And finally, openness. And again, we don't want you to be the open guru. You don't have to know everything about openness and open licenses, but we want to know if you're committed to go open. And that means that the decisions you make about your project would be open. That means that you will document things as you go and not at the very end. Are you willing to do that for your project? It means also that you will not only seek contributors, but contribute to other projects and try to grow the open hardware community afterwards, right? So those are important things we pay attention to in the review process. And there you also see the important dates. As I was mentioning, application closes 7 March, and the cohort will start mid-March. And yeah, we are in the webinar for applicants right now. Another important thing before moving on to the Q&A is participant support. We are going to be absolutely honest here. We have very, very limited funding from another grant from the wonderful Mozilla Foundation long time ago. And we may be able to support some participants that have connectivity problems or that need childcare support in order to join the program. We understand Open Hardware Makers is an important tool for diversifying the open hardware community, so we would really like people to join. And the most important thing is that you reach out to us to let us know if you have some limitations. We also do this with mentors and with experts, so we are really trying hard to address these problems. And we are also actively seeking funding for further, like in the future, for better supporting people with this. But the key here is, if you think you would love to join, but your internet connection, because you're in a country that digital infrastructure is not very good, your connection is not really good, or you cannot join because you don't have the time, because you need childcare support, all of that, or any other limitation, just reach out to us. So we have arrived to the Q&A, and if you want to unmute yourselves, guys, then we can start with some questions. Do you still see the presentation? Sorry.
Yeah, I still see the presentation.
Okay, great.
So we don't have any questions on the YouTube chat, although we do have some people watching. So if you do have questions, make sure to ask them and use the YouTube chat for that. I guess in the meantime, we can try to cover what have been questions that were asked already from previous people, right?
Yeah.
And maybe while we wait for people to ask their own questions.
Yeah, we have a series of questions that usually come up when talking about open hardware makers, and specifically from mentees. So one of the questions that usually comes up is, how do you match mentees and mentors? Does anyone want to talk about that?
Yeah, I guess I can. So the matching process takes into account a number of things. And so because we're having actually mentors from all over the world, one of the things we try to match is a little bit the time zones where mentees and mentors are, so that there is an easy communication, right? So it's not like it's 3 o'clock in the morning for one person while it's 2 in the afternoon for the other one. We also try to match the interests of the mentors and how they see the projects and how they could collaborate with them. And the previous experience and how they could support the mentees. Alex, would you like to add anything? Or will you?
I think there's nothing to add from my side at the moment.
No, I think the interest is also, yeah, as Andreu mentioned, the more you tell us about an application, the better we can match you. So if you already have an idea about, I would love to take this project I would like to turn it into a product, like into a proper product I can sell and make a business out of it, then we have mentors that will probably be more helpful in that aspect, and we can fine tune the match. Yeah, I think that. And also we give the chance of, if we didn't make a good match, we ask both you and the mentor after the first meeting if you would like to change with a good reason. So there's always opportunity for that. Another question is, are there funds available for projects for buy-in materials and other infrastructure?
So for now, unfortunately, for this cohort, unfortunately not. This is something we would love to offer to you, to give your project a kickstart. And we are trying to do our best to provide you some funding in the future cohort. But for this cohort, there are no funds for project. But as Julio already mentioned, if you need support for accessibility, please contact us. And we have limited funds, like very limited funds, but we try to help you in any way.
Yep. If you are thinking specifically of a piece of hardware in particular, we may be able to also, I don't know, help you with communications, maybe reach out to sponsors. We are always willing to help in that sense. Another question that usually comes up is this program restricted to a specific field like science or education, which is something usual because we all are very close to open hardware for science.
So yeah, so as I mentioned before, we are really agnostic in that sense, right? We really want people to just have an open hardware project. It doesn't matter where it comes from, and it doesn't matter the utility, and even if it has an utility, right? So some things really don't have a specific function. They're just there because they are. And we also don't mind accepting those. So my point is, sorry, I'm rambling, but point is we don't have a specific subfield inside open hardware. It's really, as long as your project's an open hardware project, we'll welcome it to open hardware makers.
Yes, and we are also something that we didn't mention, that we are platform agnostic, right? And that is important, especially for people in open hardware that, I mean, with all the right in the world, they pay a lot of attention to the platform you're documenting in. And you know that some platforms are excluding users. They may be open, but they are not accessible in some countries, like GitHub is not accessible in some countries, for example. So if you go over the curriculum, you will see that we do not enforce the use of one platform for documenting open hardware. What we do is we let you choose the platform. It has to be open, of course, and we try to we enforce the use of protocols that ensure that your project is findable across these platforms. These are recent developments in the open hardware community that we think are super useful for avoiding this lock-in with platforms that is so common in open hardware. Anything else to say about that?
Yes, there's everything. So you will document also your progress in the program, and you will document this in the forum. That's important to say. So this is our platform for documentation, like of the things of what you are doing during the course of this 16 weeks.
This is, thank you for mentioning that. This is the GOSH forum. If you apply to the program, and you are selected, we will ask you to create a user in the GOSH forum. We will ask you to introduce yourself there and kind of use it as the one point for reference for all your activities in the program. If you want to document your hardware, I don't know, in GitLab, then you can link to GitLab from the forum, but all your, as Alex mentioned, all your meeting minutes and everything will be there in the GOSH forum.
Guys, sorry to interrupt you, but we are actually getting questions coming in. I think there is a lag in between our live transmission and YouTube. So basically, Angelo Rivera is saying, hello everyone, for my work in environmental health, we developed a thermal monitor with an ESP8266. To measure thermal conditions of the dengue vector in Peru. So is this job suitable for your project?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know if you want to if you want to reply to that, but yes, Angelo, thank you for the question and thank you for joining the webinar. And absolutely, yes. And you mentioned that you have some previous work done, and this can be what you provide as part of the application process, and we will totally get that as open documentation if it's openly available. So yeah, welcome to apply. Yeah.
Great, thanks for the question, Angelo. And we have another one from Mike. Just to clarify, mentor technical contributions. They can't teach how to solder circuitry, but can help with something like adding or modifying electronic design. Is that accurate?
Alex?
Well, yeah. We think actually that so the mentor has this role that they lead you through the program. They take you by your hand and are your buddy through this program. We don't look for like specific technical skills in the mentors, because there we have the experts. So for example, if you have an error or you need help with your electronic design, you would contact an expert. But you can talk to your mentor about that, and he can also she can also provide you maybe a direct contact from their network. But no, the mentors, if maybe they can, but we don't expect them to provide you technical help in that way.
In some cases, there is an overlap, right? In some cases, but it's not expected, let's say.
Yeah, and also we need to make sure that people also understand that experts are there to provide you also information about a certain topic. So for instance, in the case of an electronic design or modifying it, an expert would be able to tell you, oh, this is wrong because of X, and you should look in that direction, but they're probably not themselves gonna do the modifications for you, right? So they're gonna point you in the right directions with expert knowledge, but not actually do the work for you, unless you agree with an expert that they're willing to do that. But this is not what we are expecting that experts will do, but it's totally fine if they want to.
I think you can think of it as some time with a consultant, right? You have a certain problem, or you have a certain I don't know how to continue with this, and you will be able to get someone who is absolutely experienced with that and will give you a very, very, I would say, direction to continue your work. Yeah. And in some cases, the experts may be super involved and they really like your project and they may work on it. That can happen, but yes, not expected.
Okay, so Mike's saying, thanks for clarifying. I was conflating experts and mentors. It was the responsibility. Sorry, the responsibility breakdown makes more sense now. So thanks, Mike, for the question. We're happy that this is clear now. I hate to cut it short, but conscious of time, we are already at 35 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I don't see any more questions coming on the chat.
Okay.
So what we can do is actually leave our email on the chat. People who are seeing this later can actually send us an email. Also, on the forums and on everywhere you can find how to contact us. Unless, like, is there anything else you two would like to add? Sorry, before we close this session.
No, not from my side. Thank you, Mike, for the question. I think it's good input for us to improve the role description in the website also. No, I would say just this is, if I were on the other side with an open Harbor project, this is a great opportunity to access lots of knowledge for free and some small time commitment. So I encourage everyone to apply. Just apply. Application process is not very time consuming, and we would really like to see lots of applications coming in. So yeah.
And we are looking forward to this, and we are looking forward to your project and to your journey through our program.
Yes, even if you're not sure if applying to the program, because if you're not sure if it's for you, just apply. we will see and we can talk afterwards. Okay, then thank you, everyone. That's the last slide I want to share.
Yeah, so also you can find us on Twitter, our email, and our website. Yeah. But this is all shared also on the YouTube chat. Yes. Yeah, so thank you for your time. Thanks for making the time for being here today, and we hope to see your application soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we are officially offline.